Let's go. Yes, don't forget to check out Doggy Diamonds No Filter, the actual podcast. The actual audio version of this podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify, and I'm back on SoundCloud as well. So whatever your platform of choice is, I'm on there for the podcast, and that is the audio version. Of course, the video version is on YouTube, but the audio version is on these streaming platforms. Also, don't forget, for only $100, I promote whatever you need on my social medias and my website. That's my Twitter, Facebook, Insta Stories, YouTube community, and my website, www.doggydiamondstv.com. Hit me up on Instagram at Doggy Diamonds for your promo, serious inquiries only. And if you're not getting the notifications at this point, it's your fault. Because all you have to do is make sure you go to www.theinterviewking.com, sign up for the email list, and you're going to get the content directly to your email from me. www.theinterviewking.com. Make sure you go sign up. Let's get to it. All right, so as you following, make sure you hit that like button. Hit that like, hit that share. You already subscribed. We just hit 251,000 subscribers. I just had a mishap earlier with this program. It just wilded out on me. I don't know what happened. But I had to come right back because I can't let this topic, go away. So I had to keep it going. So I'm here. It's the one and only DOGGIEDIAMONDS. And this is TV, so it's the YouTube. I appreciate y'all for being here with me on a Friday night. You could be anywhere getting some great fellatio, but you're here with me. What did I say? Oh, stop the music. 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 What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Doggy Diamonds. This is Doggy Diamonds TV. I got to put my shades on because I don't feel right without my shades. But we're going to do this whole episode real quick without shades, and then we're going to... There we go. Yeah, that's more like it. I got to get these in black, too. Because I had a lot of these, but I just end up losing my shit. See, hold on, man. I ain't feeling right. I feel like my dome is getting chopped off. So I want to say shout out to the Melvin Air Podcast. Hold on. Move this microphone. Support them, the Melvin Air Podcast. Let me just stand up real quick. The Melvin Air Podcast. You remember what Melvin did? Yeah, the Melvin Air Podcast. Shout out to them. They actually flew me to Baltimore last year, and I did a show with them. So it's on all streaming platforms. The Melvin Air Podcast. So make sure you go there and show them some love. Hit that like button. I shouldn't have to ask all this shit, too. I start getting crazy after a while. But anyway, what's up, y'all? All right, so this is about to get real deep because this is something that has to be said and has to be heard because nobody is really saying it and everybody is playing. So for now, let me say bye to Instagram because I'm on Instagram, as y'all can see. Look, Instagram. Y'all can see each other. Instagram, y'all can see the chat on YouTube and you can see the Instagram. So let me sign out of Instagram. Everybody in Instagram, make sure you go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. And I'm going to be going live on TikTok too. Facebook, we out. Y'all got to go to YouTube. And y'all ain't even really deep on here anyway. So salute to the people who here. But the people in here, man, who ain't here, y'all pissing me off. When the king go live, everybody should be tuned in. Don't be just peeking at me and then leaving. Anyway, all right. So, y'all ready? All right, let me speak on this really quick. I'm a Brooklyn guy. So when we say East Coast, people get it misconstrued because people think the East Coast is the East Coast. There is no such thing as the East Coast. The East Coast is mainly New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. The tri-state, because Virginia could be considered to be the East Coast a little bit, but that's kind of south. Philly, well, we could put Philly in there. Let's include Philly. Let's include VA a little bit. I think we could include DC, but DC has their own style of music. DC has predominantly been go-go for a while, and that's their thing. They got some rappers there. Don't get it twisted. But DC is mainly known for their beautiful music go-go. So when a lot of times people say East Coast, you really talk about New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Philly, and of course upstate New York. But when you start getting to like, a VA, that could be East Coast. Maryland could still be East Coast. But when you start getting a little to North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, not Virginia, Atlanta, that's not East Coast. Even though technically, on the geographically, it is the East Coast. But people don't consider that to be East Coast. People are really talking about New York, unfortunately. That's what people are talking about. So, yeah, you got Boston. I'm not excluding those because those are a given. But when you go down the coast, because Boston, you got to go over a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, right now it's a lot of grumblings going on about Boston. All right, Boston is East Coast, but people, when they talk about the East Coast, I think most of the time, thank you for that donation. Let me shout you out too. I've always said you and Blizz should do a documentary on the rise and fall East Coast. Yeah, I can do that. So what I'm saying to y'all is this. When people say East Coast, they're really talking about New York. I'm just going to be real with you. When they say East Coast, they're really talking about New York. Unfortunately, Jersey doesn't get the love of the East Coast that it should get. Neither does Connecticut. Connecticut got a lot of beautiful artists and a lot of beautiful people out there. But when they say East Coast, they never say Connecticut. When we say East Coast, because of I'm saying this, I'm talking about the style of rap. So I'm not gonna talk about geographically. I'm talking about the style of rap. The style of rap. Virginia has the style. Philly has their own style, but it's still East Coast. Ride with me here. So when they said the East Coast, West Coast beef, who was the beef? Reggie T, thank you for the donation. Who was they talking about? They were talking about Los Angeles and New York. That's what they was talking about, right? Okay. But I want to get on New York really quick. I want to talk about New York really quick. I want to talk about New York. I'm a Brooklyn dude. I'm a Brooklyn guy. Born and raised in Brooklyn with ties to Staten Island. Lived out there for a couple of years. New York used to be trendsetters in everything. We used to be trendsetters. Now, one thing I'm not going to jack is that the Bloods in New York copied the West Coast. We're not going to do that. Okay, reason why we're not going to do that is because initially, I'm not affiliated, I'm not a member, but from the intel that I got that y'all got, this is what I got. Initially, the initial founder of what came to the East Coast said he had ties to the West Coast. So they took some of the principles. But since then, that whole manifesto got written over. I don't know if people know that. So what you see now of the Bloods in New York City is not from the West Coast. It's New York. And I spoke to some of the super duper trooper big homies, and they let it be known, listen, this ain't got nothing to do with no West Coast thing. This is our thing. Now, it is derived there. It comes from there, but the homies out here rewrote it, redid everything. So you're saying gang culture come from the West Coast, but you're wrong because gang culture come from Chicago. But that's another story. Anyway, so the whole thing got written over. A lot of the principles is taken from everywhere. Now, the name is the same, but then it's an acronym. It's different things, right? And some of them do have political ties to the West. But I'm not talking about that. So a lot of times when they say East Coast, West Coast, and they say, oh, y'all took this from this and this, yeah, to a certain extent, it was taken in its inception, but then it got changed around, and it don't mean it's because it's different, right? It is different. It's not the same. It's not the same. That's like saying the world took hip hop from New York. That's like saying everybody took hip hop from us and we started it and we should own hip hop. But it's something that's going to spread. Then you're going to have your different derivatives of hip hop, because we have East Coast hip hop, then you got West Coast hip hop, you got trap, you got drill, you got different things, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? So let's get this right. Let's get this right really quick. I ain't with the East Coast, West Coast shit. Straight up and down. Reason why I'm not with no East Coast, West Coast shit, because dudes on the East Coast, this shit is our fault for going through what we going through on the East Coast. You know why? Because niggas on the East Coast don't help each other. Now, we going to talk about it. Let's motherfucking talk about it today. Let's talk about it today. We can't talk about what the West Coast is doing to us. We can't talk about how the South did this, how this people did this. No, it's us. It's us. Niggas in the East Coast didn't stick together. And when I'm saying the East Coast, I mean New York City. I can't speak for what they did in VA, Philly, Boston, Mass, Maryland. I can't speak for what they did. But I'm going to speak about New York. Niggas in New York did not look out for niggas in New York. Niggas in New York is the biggest fucking haters there is. And we not talking about no gang shit. We're talking about entertainment. We talking about entertainment world. That's why we're last in everything. Because all the niggas in power, either not from New York, or they been in power in New York for so long that all they did was blackball niggas, block niggas' blessings, and been doing it for years. Been doing this shit for years. Anybody that's had a job in New York for fucking over 25 years, you don't think something's wrong with that? And they don't got no understudies? They don't have nobody under them? They didn't breed nobody else to take over? They had a job. Some of these DJs been on the radio for how long? For how long? For how long? Where is the people under them? Where is the youth under them? And I ain't talking about the youth that's paying you to get radio spins and all that shit, or paying for promo and all that. I'm talking about the youth. Where's the young dudes? So East Coast, New York City did it to New York City, right? New York City is the home of a few billionaires. How many of them billionaires put people on in New York and didn't fucking beat them? Didn't do them wrong. So when you a New York dude, why did Nicki Minaj have to go to the South to get popping? Why did French Montana have to go to the South to get popping? Why does everybody have to leave New York to get popping? Because when you stay here, motherfuckers be hating. Motherfuckers be hating out here. So now you in a situation where everybody like the East Coast is man, give me one spot in the East Coast where niggas can hang out at. Give me one spot where niggas could congregate. Give me one spot, because again, there should be no way in hell for me having a platform that I have, right? There's no way in hell that I can't call all the East Coast dudes and say I want them on my platform. Even though I interviewed all of them, I'm not going to cap. All of them gave me an interview before. But it's fucked up that I don't have all of them on speed dial. I don't have none of the East Coast rappers on speed dial. I know them when I see them. It's all love. But at the same time, I can't call them and say, yo, I need you on my platform. But you know how many West Coast dudes I got in here? You know how many West Coast dudes I got in here that I could call right now? I could call Mitchie Slick. I could call Glasses Malone. I could call J.O. Felony. I could call Bishop Lamont. I could call Little Eazy-E. I could call G. Perico. I could call all of them on my phone right here, and they'll pick up and do an interview with me. Right now as we speak. Planet Asia. Why the niggas in New York, all these New York platforms we got, why they don't pull up for nobody unless you a Rap Radar or one of these platforms that's corporate? Why they don't pull up for nobody? Why they not making sure the East Coast platforms are big? Why they not making sure all of our platforms are big? I could call any of these homies from the West Coast, all different gangs, Bloods, Crips, Hoovers, local gangs. Some of the Mexicans, I could call them right now and they're going to pick up, bro, what's good? I don't got Fab number. I don't got Jim Jones number. I don't got Cameron number. Mace played with it. I don't got Diddy number. I don't got Jay-Z number. I don't got none of their number. They don't fuck with us. They don't fuck with us. The East Coast niggas don't fuck with us. So when we branch out and start fucking with other niggas, oh, the West Coast gotta stick together. The East Coast, oh, the West Coast. The West Coast, shit. Now let me give y'all another jewel. How long I'm considered to be one of the forefathers of podcasting and videos, right? One of the forefathers of podcasting and video interviews. I'm considered to be damn near the GF for this shit, right? When they started their little podcast networks in New York, they never called me. I was hitting them saying, yo, I'm trying to get down. What's up? They all dubbed me. All the podcast networks in New York dubbed me. Me. They dubbed me. They took what I built. They took what I did and started they shit and left me out. Now, I'd rather people say, yo, we don't fuck with you because of this. Now, when somebody don't fuck with you, any of us could deal with a no. Any of us could deal with a no. No don't bother you, but when a nigga play games and play phone tag with you and don't answer the phone and all that, you're like, yo, how you playing with me? Because when somebody play with you on the phone, you know what happened the next time you see them, right? All that, I lost my contacts. Now you got no phone. Now I'm going to take your phone and roof that shit. It happened. They dubbed me. So if I had to just sat down on my hands like, yo, I'm fucked up in the game, I wouldn't have nothing. It took a dude from the West Coast by the way of Cleveland that emailed me one day. Emailed me one day and said, yo, you not a part of a podcast network? I said, nah. He said, yo, how? How you not a part of a podcast network? Don't they all get that shit from you? I'm like, that's what they say. He said, yo, Loudspeaker is the biggest shit out there. Loudspeaker never fuck with you. I said, well, I used to hit Combat Jack all the time. He used to ignore me. I mean, he used to answer me for certain things, but when I used to talk about coming to the network, he used to ignore me. Who else I hit? They used to ignore me. So he was like, damn, that's fucked up, man. Like you Brooklyn, like you one of the staples on the East Coast. Like how they can't fuck, why they ain't fucking with you? It's like, yo, I don't know. He said, all right. He said, listen, I want to do a podcast network. He is in the West Coast. He's in the West Coast. He said, I want to do a podcast network. I'll sign you. This is 2017. I said, shit, I guess I'm getting signed and send me over some paperwork. Let's go through it. Let's figure it out. Cause I'm like, shit, I got this podcast. I need to get my shit out there a little bit more. Then he said, yo, could you take a call? He called me back. He said, listen, I can't sign you, bro. That's disrespectful for me to say I'm gonna sign you. He said, yo, you too big to go under somebody to get signed. He said, yo, listen, be my partner. Be my partner. Be my partner. Be my partner. I can't sign you. You got to be my partner. We going to start a podcast network together called Digital Soapbox Network. I got the name. I was like, shit, let's do it. Let's do it. So here it is. People keep saying to me, this West Coast this shit, this West Coast that shit, West Coast, West Coast. It took a nigga from the West Coast to look out for me. So y'all expect me to have issues with the West Coast or this person? Yeah, we might have issues with a certain individual, but it ain't no West Coast shit on the whole. So when niggas come to me with this West Coast shit, the West Coast, I ain't jacking that because it took somebody from the West Coast to say, come on, man, you a legend. I ain't signing you, man. You my partner. Here, this is the paperwork. Yo, I need your social security so we could go get our EINs and all that shit. So how the hell it took somebody from the West Coast to co-sign me, a Brooklyn nigga? A Brooklyn nigga? A nigga who grew up with Biggie? A nigga who grew up with the legends in this shit? I gotta get co-signed by a West Coast nigga? All these East Coast niggas looking at me? Mad at me for whatever reason? Think about that. Think about that. So when you think about it, I'm not going to be mad at no West Coast niggas. I'm not going to be mad at none of the brothers in the South. New York got to fix New York. New York got to fuck with New York. New York got to start looking out for New York. Okay? That's the realest shit. So before we blame the South took over. Before we blame this, before we blame that, we got to say, what didn't we do for each other? Because when I had a platform, when I had Forbes DVD and it was the #2 site in the world,